Welcome back to the Lude
Hey
podcast, everybody. I am Julie Cole.
And I'm Joanna Livingston Lewis, Hiller Derrick.
And, she's the whole thing today.
I'm the whole kit and caboodle today, yes.
We'll talk about that, I bet.
Yes, we will.
I can't wait to hear it. Yes. So welcome back, everybody. This is episode 4.
Yep.
Wow, we've got 4 in already. Dude, we're kicking it.
Yeah, we are. We're still here.
That's right.
Which is something to be said for
you know what?
and I.
Even if nobody's listening, we're enjoying the hell out of it.
And let me tell you, it is a Saturday morning.
That's right.
It is Saturday morning.
So
and
it's
we're here.
morning time, so you're not going to get me as up in the clouds.
Oh, yeah.
Highbrow.
Yeah. Yes. But I'm still base level, though. Still base level.
Well, I want to start out just saying thank you to everybody. We've gotten a lot of really good feedback. We've got some people reaching out to us, and I think this is, we're going to start working on talking about how to expand this creative project a little bit, but this has been a good start, and I've really enjoyed it. And honestly, it's been a bright spot for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I'm really grateful. I'll start out with my point of gratitude this morning, which is I just really love being able to kind of pursue creative projects. I laugh because we're going to go through some of the, Facebook comments, and we'll talk in a minute about what I mean by that. But when you're trying to work full time and take care of kids and keep a house and do that all, there comes a time where you have to prioritize what's practical over, what feels passionate.
Yes.
And I need to be clear that I love my kids. I'm passionate about my kids. I love keeping, that kind of stuff. But I have had to put, creative projects a lot of the time on the back burner.
Sure.
And I'm trying to reawaken that part of myself.
Yeah.
And so I have a lot of gratitude for this, because I feel like this is a space where you and I can come together, and we're kind of like-minded in this, and so we're just rolling with it. There's no expectations, we're just seeing where it goes.
Absolutely, and learning that both can exist.
That's right.
Yes, maybe not, definitely not 100% perfect on either side of that, which is what we're going to get into today.
Yeah.
But both can exist. Yeah, we don't have to be this or that.
Right.
Okay, so point of gratitude for me. I feel like yours are always very intellectual, and mine are always just about a thing, or a person or something, but it's all right. I am grateful for my ex-husband.
Yeah. He showed up today.
Holy shit, did he show up today? Yeah.
Thanks, Dick.
Thank you.
Yeah, for real. I'm not saying that
that's his name. That's his name.
I'm not being sarcastic.
Not at all. No, it's not lowercase Dick. It's uppercase.
Oh, I mean, even just saying thank you. I wasn't being sarcastic with the thanks.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I have had my 7-year-old, Colton, who is not my ex-husband's child. We have 3 together, but this one is not. I've had him a lot, and I've not gotten much of a break. And I texted Dick last night and was like, dude, SOS.
Yeah.
I've got this podcast to do with Julie today, and I'd really appreciate it if you would watch Colton for a couple hours. He was like, sure.
Yeah.
I'll take the boys to breakfast.
And so you got the pictures?
Yes. And so he's texting our family group pictures of he and the 2 boys at Bojangles, which I also would not take Colton to.
Yeah.
But he will. So anyway.
Bojangles is one of our when we're in the camper, because they almost always have an empty parking lot, so we can pull in. Yeah. They have a big wide parking lot. Almost always.
And so they do have good biscuits.
They do.
They do. But yeah, so I'm grateful for my ex-husband. He really showed up for me today. Yeah. And you know what? He usually does is the thing, maybe not when we were married, but he sure does now,
Yeah. Well, you also bring a different package than you did when y'all were married.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not the
that's what I said.
Horrid bitch anymore.
It's healing through some space.
Yeah. I changed and he changed. Yeah.
So actually, that kind of segues nice into our topic, But I think before we really it's funny, you threw out a Facebook post this morning.
Yes.
And you said, I would love to hear some ideas about a topic y'all would like to hear. What would y'all like to hear about? And so the comments ensued.
Yeah, we had tons of comments.
Yeah, so let's throw a couple of those out there.
All right, so Crystal says, what does self-care really mean, and what can it look like? Maybe not.
God, we could do a year worth of that.
The things folks always think. Yeah. Laura said, how to stay positive in the scary world now, parenting teenagers.
Oh God.
Health, mental health and work. Kelly, same thing about work-life balance. Haley, agree with Kelly, work-life balance. Vicky, toxic negativity disguised as perfectionism. And this one was interesting. How about it's hard to feel like celebrating Independence Day this year?
Yeah.
So yeah, helpful hints.
How do you find yourself? I saw that one from Teresa.
Yes. Books we've read. Yeah. Personally struggle with boundaries. Have you ever just felt lost as an individual, but not necessarily depressed?
Yep.
Yeah.
Identity stuff.
Yeah. Identity stuff. Yeah. So you and I decided to kind of,
well, when we were reading this, I was sharing with you that I was thinking, let's like deepen suffering ourselves, because last week we took the, big, our last episode, we did big wallet energy and, the way we talk to ourselves and what that really can mean. And
yes, parent guilt, all that. Yeah. And in talking, before the podcast, we realized that we can wrap all of those comments, together and put them under this suffering ourselves part 2 kind of deal. Yeah. And I did promise swag to someone, to whoever's topic we chose. And so we're choosing all of y'all's, and we don't have that many swags. I'm going to have to come up with one swags. So anyway, I'm just going to randomly choose somebody.
Yeah. I think that's great.
Yeah.
And we also conjured the spirit of Sister Brene today. Nobody can, if you're not watching, you can't see it, but
yes,
we have a Brene Brown candle.
And it is Saint Brene Brown. And you can order it on Amazon.
That's right.
They have all other manner of
They
personalities.
have all of them.
Yes.
They're so much fun.
Dolly Parton, one of our personal favorites.
Yeah, I got to see Dolly.
I know.
At Dollywood.
I saw that.
She rarely comes through, and they were like, she's coming through on a little parade at 4:00, and we got to see Dolly Parton live and in person. It was really cool, and I didn't think I would fangirl. I was like, and then she comes on, like, oh my God, it's Dolly! God, look this way, look this way. Trying to wave, take videos.
I know she did.
She didn't. It's okay though.
Y'all didn't meet eyes?
No.
Damn.
No serendipitous experience, but it was really cool to see her. And the thing I want to say about this is, like, the people who are the most excited to see her out of everybody was the staff of Dollywood. They were lined up on the streets with everybody else, which tells me everything I need to know about her as an employer.
Yeah.
Right? People were excited to see her. They were great. Like, you could just see the energy from the staff, and it wasn't like everybody been pumping them up. They were literally like on the streets with us with their cameras, like sneaking out of their crevices and places, because everybody was out on the street, so they weren't in the places doing all the stuff, right? So they could come out and stand on the street with us. They were like literally elbow to elbow with everybody who was like visiting Dollywood. Yeah. It was really cool.
That is cool.
No, it was really cool. We really enjoyed that. Mm-hmm.
I bet. And she's beautiful.
She is. She's an icon for sure. Yes. She's like the, Appalachia Betty White.
Yeah.
Sense of humor.
Our personal Jackie O.
Yeah. Except for with a lot more depth.
Yes.
No offense. Yeah. Sorry for you Jackie O fans. Dolly is the catalyst. She's not. Okay, I'm gonna shut up. Suffering ourselves. Okay. So we're kind of talking about. So one of the things that you and I talk about a lot is yes and.
Yes.
And I've actually progressed to this concept of yes and. Like, I think of things like a teeter-totter, right? Like, we have this tendency in our world, and we're seeing it really bad right now, right? With people wanting to be right or wrong, on the right side of the issue or on the wrong side of the issue, or it's black or it's white, you are or you aren't.
Yes.
Life just does not exist in that space. Life is very much, we talk about in the gray, in between the black and the white. But we have to understand it operates like a teeter-totter. I used to talk about the analogy of almost like a pendulum, right? Yeah. And you swing to extremes and you come to a more middle ground, but I really feel like, it's like a teeter-totter. Sometimes you're here and sometimes you're here. And really, you got to find a balance between whatever the things are. Yeah. Right? Like, I'm not 100% liberal, but I'm not 100% conservative. Like, actually, I laugh because I found myself leaning more towards conservatism in the pandemic, because I'm a business owner, because a lot of things that really had the opportunity to impact me greatly from a financial perspective, right?
Yes.
I also had a lot of issues with like the mass acceptance of losing people's autonomy, bodily autonomy, which is actually what we're facing this week. And it's kind of pushed me back on the other side of the pendulum a little bit, you know? And so like this, that's as much as I'm going to say about it.
Yep.
You know, for me, it's a spectrum. I kind of move fluidly in and out. I don't check the boxes well. And so it's a teeter-totter. And so suffering ourselves is about understanding that we're on a teeter-totter rather than two sides of a coin.
Yes. Yes. And I like I was told this analogy a long time ago with the yes and kind of living in the gray areas, liminal space. And liminal space is like, I imagine a trapeze artist swinging. And in that letting go to catch the trapeze that's on the other side, that's that liminal space where you're in the middle of the two.
Yeah.
Suffering yourself.
Yeah.
And what you believe and what you think and all that kind of stuff. And
I love that.
Yeah, I like that one too.
It's more like also that concept of the open-handed conviction of any kind, right? Like you can't grow and understand anything if you're holding tightly to it.
Yeah, and you sure as hell can't catch a trapeze with closed hands either.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just wrapped all the analogies into one.
I know, you know I love them.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's it. No, I love it too because I think that we hit, you know, one of the things I do well is like I can take a concept and reframe it 100 different ways so that it's like understood differently for different people.
Yeah, because everybody hears it different.
Yeah, so I really appreciate that. Okay, so what did we put? We talk about black and white thinking, yes, and
understanding and suffering ourselves. So last week it was more of a kind of surface level, superficial kind of thing, you know, just like everyday kind of choices we make in our lives, you know, small wallet versus big wallet, you know.
Or just being clear that we are who we are.
Yes. And how we walk around the earth kind of on a daily basis. And
our existence.
Yeah. So today I think we wanted to get more into the meat of it, maybe dig down deeper into it with the black and white thinking, the yes and not everything is going to be perfect or even handled.
Right.
You know, which I think speaks to a lot of the comments that we got on Facebook today about how do I do this? How do I like work-life balance kind of thing? How do I talk about XYZ with my kids? How do I do this? And there's no answer.
Right.
Except.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
JP sent me a clip on Instagram the other day. It was somebody talking about regrets. And he basically said, like, no matter what we decide, we're going to have regrets, right? Because regret is that space where we think, what if I'd done it differently? Or how would it look differently if I'd done this? Or, you know, that's a natural, that's a natural reaction to life.
Yeah.
Right. And that part of suffering ourselves, and to tie it into this, is like being intentional about what regrets we're going to have.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. And understanding that in regret is not a wrong decision.
Right.
Either.
Yeah, that's what he said. He's just because you feel regret doesn't mean you did the wrong thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Regret, you'll feel regret. I think that's the thing about suffering ourselves is getting clear and intentional about where we want to be and who we want to be.
Yeah.
And it's not being tossed about by life.
No. Yeah, and it's being uncomfortable in those decisions that we make. Because sometimes it does end something.
Yeah. Well, that's the liminal space you're talking about, because it's like in that moment you're hanging. If you're a person of faith, that's like where you trust.
Right.
You trust. And when I say faith, let me get real clear. I'm not just talking about Christian faith.
Right.
Right. Faith is about trusting something, trusting that the universe has your back, trusting that there's a creative intelligence, trusting that there's an energy out there to our good, trusting that there's alignment, manifestation, trusting that nature is all encompassing. And we're, I can use all the different examples of where faith shows up in different walks, right?
Trusting that if I read every one of Brene Brown's books, that I'm going to do something eventually correct.
One of the things I love about her is like, it's not about doing it correct.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing is it's actually about falling apart.
Yeah.
So that you get clear about, even Atlas of the Heart is about identifying a deeper emotional set so that you're not dictated by life.
Yeah.
You're able to signpost your emotions so that you know what your needs are and you're able to communicate those. But you have to suffer it.
Yeah.
Right? I tell people all the time, like, anger is an externalized emotion. What's under it?
Yeah.
And almost a first pass, one of the things that my first sponsor taught me to do is because I had major anger problems when I was drinking, like major. I would blackout rage, tear up the house, beat people up. I mean, it was like, we laugh about it now because it's almost ridiculous. Like, but it was like I was that, whirling tornado. When I'd start out the night as the person everybody wanted to be around, at the end of the night, I was like the path of destruction.
The pariah.
Every time. Yeah. The path of destruction every time. And and so the thing about it is early on I had a sponsor who would say, anger is just fear turned inside out.
Yeah.
What are you fearful of? And I'd be like, I'm not afraid of shit. I had to suffer the idea, and that's that perfectionism thing, right? Like perfectionism is the idea that if we know the answer, if we do it right, if we do it the right way, if everybody around it does it right, we're going to feel okay.
Yes.
We're going to feel okay.
Yeah.
That's a lie.
Yeah. And maybe we do for a day.
Sure.
A week. Who knows? But yeah, I know myself at least well enough to know I'll come up with the 2.0 version of it and require a leveling up of myself and everybody else, even if it's not necessary.
Right.
Even once I get what I want or need. Yeah.
Because there's a complete lack of vulnerability and intimacy in it.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, literally, it's like pushing away those things.
Yeah.
Just like overworking is pushing away those things. Sex, drugs, rock and roll. Like all the things we can get sideways with and the ways we dissociate from things. From Netflix and chill to, working out obsessively to like social media, getting lost in social media. I mean, like there's like all these pieces of it, and it pushes us away from the thing that we really want, which is connection.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to say though, with those things as temporary coping.
Yeah. They have a place.
They have a place, yeah, because sometimes I cannot handle something in the moment, and I need to dissociate from it. I need to zone out, and so I'll get on social media and just scroll. And eventually, because it's not quite disordered, my relationship with social media, I'll realize it, and be like, oh, okay, life, that's right. Yeah. So I just want to say, like, we're not suggesting that, all those things that we like to do and are not bad for us 100% of the time. It's
when we do it in absent of being able to sit with ourselves.
Yeah, like you got to come back up for water.
Yeah.
I mean, air or water.
Yeah.
Or a cheeseburger.
Yeah. Or sex.
So,
so it's like this. So the suffering ourselves part is like when we do those things obsessively and literally we feel uncomfortable, we go to perfectionism. We feel uncomfortable, we go to social media. We feel uncomfortable, we feel like we have to work out. We feel uncomfortable, we go to obsessive meditation.
Yes.
Right? Like doing guided meditation is still like being guided away from where we are. It might get us to something, but sometimes just sitting in dead space and getting, like what we were talking about last week, last episode, sitting in dead space and getting comfortable with our thoughts, which can be distressing, there's 1,000 tools out there to help with that. That's what therapy's for.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that literally cannot sit with their thoughts without getting suicidal, or going crazy with their loved ones, or doing the things. There's lots of ways to cope with it. But understanding, when we talk about suffering ourselves is about understanding all the ways that we make a choice in the moment to not feel uncomfortable and cause ourselves long-term to move away from the things we care about.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So in this moment, I'm going to choose not to be truthful about who and what I am, so that you're happy with me, but in the end, it's going to blow up. Right?
Yes.
And everybody's going to be upset. I'm going to make the choice right now it's 100 things. Like when I was quitting drinking, can you believe this? I have to say this, y'all. It blows my mind. Next Saturday, a week from today, I will be 24 years sober.
Jesus.
I'm like, I still think I'm 24.
That is.
I'm like, the math doesn't add up. I'm not old enough to that. Not old enough.
Amazing.
To get the first day, I had to be willing to suffer the obsession. Mm-hmm. Suffer it. I had to be willing to sit and go. And for me, it was, I can drink today if I want to. I just choose not to.
Yep.
Because I couldn't tell myself I couldn't drink. Every time I told myself I couldn't drink, I just went and drank
Just-
more. Every time I told myself I couldn't have sugar, I had it more. Every time I told myself I couldn't eat more calories, I ate more, right? So for me, like, I had to learn to just sit.
Get through the day. Yeah.
Yeah. And make a choice.
Yep.
Suffering ourselves is the choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
We talked about getting clear about our needs. You want to talk about that? Because we were talking, boundaries came up a lot and balance came up a lot.
Yeah.
So I think that when we're talking about boundaries and balance and priorities and prioritization, it's really about getting clear on ourselves. You want to talk about suffering ourselves to get clarity?
Yeah. And I mean, the story that's coming into my head right now, and I'm not going to use names, is the one that I just telling you and Scott about the beach. And that this again is, so I think of myself as like the layperson's person on this podcast, and you're like the smart person's. Not smart, but you know what I mean. Like
Dude, you have a ton of insight.
I know I do.
It's the craziest thing.
I know I do, but
But part of the reason why you're good with it is because you don't think you have it. Seriously, I have to say that, like, part of the reason why your blind spot is what makes you gifted with it.
Maybe. I don't know. I just feel dumb in front of you sometimes, but it's okay.
Dude, we have tons of conversations.
Oh,
so we track along.
I know. I think, and this, hey, let's have this vulnerable moment right now. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I'm totally like discounting your emotions, aren't I?
Yeah, that's all right. No, but I do. I feel dumb around you sometimes. And sometimes I have this, like, existential crisis of like, what the hell am I doing on this with her? Because I feel like all I bring is this like surface level kind of stuff and anecdotal kind of, stuff. And let me tell you a story about wallets, kind of thing.
Dude, that's so deep though. Yeah. I don't want to discount it. So am I doing anything? I'm going to suffer myself here in real time. Is there something I do that amplifies that?
No, I think it's just your being, I mean, it's just you. I mean, you are just, you exude.
Sure.
Confidence and intellectualism.
Sure.
That intellectually, you're there. And then throw all the initials behind your name.
Yeah.
And I'm just.
So I have to laugh.
Mom.
Suffering myself is recognizing that I put all the initials behind my name because my analytical part that developed in childhood to protect me is still front and center. Like, actually, as I've worked through letting go of my analytical part, telling my analytical part my life is safe today, and it can take a step back and let fun part or playful part or other parts that don't necessarily have to intellectualize everything come to the forefront. I care less about the letters behind my name.
Yeah. I think just, from people looking in from the outside that don't have the initials, it can be intimidating, I guess. And I've become, and I'm really working hard to do it. Also, I have become less intimidated by you and, and other people who I know have more education than me and that kind of thing, because I do hold my intellect in high regard.
Yeah.
That was definitely a message given when I was young. It's the way you look and the way you think, but yeah, so I have been trying to step up and stand eye to eye with you, and it's nothing that you're doing. It's
suffering yourself to understand that you're valid in this space.
And that I belong in the room and at this table and in front of this mic also, I don't bring the same things to the table that you bring, but I think at a base level, we do, as far as experience and stuff like that, just life experience, and our inappropriateness and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So coming back up out of the rabbit hole.
Yeah. Well, I invited you to share, and I'm going to sit back because I realized I just spent a lot of time talking and I was dominating the mic. So suffering myself to step back and let you share at the mic.
We both like the spotlight. Okay, so getting clear about my needs.
Yes.
So this past weekend, I went to the beach with some friends. We were on the beach from like 11 until 5, and then we went to this giant like resort kind of place that had like 6 different pools there. There were kids everywhere. There were drunk adults everywhere. It was just over fucking whelming. And we still had not eaten. And so at like 7, we're packing up. And maybe it was more like 6. Anyway, we're packing up. And the idea is thrown into the mix that another child is going to come with us. Not with the parent, but by itself, and with my child, her child, and this other child. And I knew, every fiber in my being knew that shit was going to explode on my part if I went along with this.
Right.
And so it wasn't even me bouncing the idea off of the other adult that was with us. It was just a clear line in the sand. No one else is coming with us. If you want to go do that, you can go do that. But I do not have the bandwidth, the margin. I have nothing left in the tank.
Yeah.
And I'm going to hurt someone's feelings and cause possibly irreparable damage if I go along with this.
It's huge.
You know, and in the past, I went along with it. I would go along with it. And so the other adult that I was with, was like, well, I've already said yes. And I said, well, you've got to go say no.
Oh, God, that's such a theme in my life right now. It's like, that's not my responsibility.
No.
You should have talked to me before you said yes.
Right. And if you can't do that, then y'all can go do that.
Yes.
And, I'll even be the one that Ubers home by myself.
That's right.
You can take the car. But that was hard.
Yeah.
It was very hard. Yeah. Because part of me also, this is that both and or yes and kind of thing. I wanted to keep the party going.
Yeah.
On one hand, but on the other hand, that was a lot stronger. I knew
you didn't have it in you.
Not a good idea. Yeah. This is not a good idea. And so our next point was, we become clear about our needs, and then how do we communicate it?
Yeah.
And obviously, each situation calls for, a different way of communicating each person. If you really, I guess, if you care about the relationship with the person, then, you do take that into consideration. There's a way to say things.
Yeah.
In that one, I just no was what I had to say.
Yeah. I mean, you've seen me put my foot down before.
Oh, yes, I have. I think about you all the time when Colton tries to work me over like a rib, and how your kids, they try you every now and then, but it's not much. Once Julie says no, it's over. It's over. And it's not you being a bitch either, a bitch, quote unquote, or you using intimidation, or you using flexing on them. Right. It's just you've said it enough consistently and firmly that they know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like you've trained them. Yeah. You've trained them.
Well, my kids try to use overstimulation to get me to put down my boundaries, and I've gotten now where I feel overstimulated. Instead of exploding, I will explode every once in a while. Like, I just need to be honest about that as a parent. Like, and when I was working full time and burnt out, I was exploding all the time. Now I've worked on yelling less and doing those kinds of things, and I just say I'm overstimulated. Like, there's too much noise, there's too much screeching, there's too much I need to separate from this. Yes, and you need to stop talking to me right now. You don't need to ask me that question again. I've already given you the answer. Still every once in a while catch myself saying things like, you'll never have a fun pop again if you don't stop. And I'm like, that's just a lie.
Yes. No truth.
Yeah. My kids are like, and we're going to get a fun pop because mom's done. And I'm like, shit, I let the boundaries go.
Isn't it crazy that even at that young age, they can pick up on stuff like that from us? They know us well.
So I was laughing because I was like, as you were talking, I was thinking about, remember the time that you took the kids to the beach and I was setting up the camper?
Gosh.
No, I think this is a good one because I want to share this story. So we went to the beach, a bunch of us camping for Mother's Day weekend.
Yeah, that was our very first camping trip together.
And it was fun. I mean, we had campers,
we
had our campers set up in almost like a caravan style thing with with like tents blocking it out, and we were in like our own little compound.
It was awesome.
It was a lot of fun. And but we had the pop-up then, and it took me forever to set it up, you know. And so you were like, I'll take kids to the beach. It's like, please just don't let them get in the water right now because I don't have the clothes out, and it's just messy, and there's salt with clothes and salt water just are a mess, right?
Yeah.
So I'm setting up the camper, and here comes my kids and Joanna back, and they're all soaking wet, you know. And I'm like, Joanna's like, I'm like, God damn it. I said not to, you know, like I kind of lost it for a minute, and then I kind of took a deep breath, and I was like, is it that serious? Is it that serious? And so you were like, I'm so sorry. And you shared with me, you're like, I almost felt like coming back, I knew you were going to get upset. And I almost felt like one of the kids coming back. And I had to like say, I don't want my friends feeling like they're one of my kids.
Yeah.
Right. And is it that serious? It's really not that serious. And so we kind of talked it out, and I actually ended up saying, thank you for taking my kids to the water. Like I was still annoyed, but I was like, I could suffer myself in that moment to see like, is it that big a deal?
Yeah.
So now when we go out, I just know when my kids go out on the beach, I can tell them all day long not to get in the water. They're going to get in the water.
They're gonna.
I just have to have the plan for that, you know? And so some of that's also like, maybe my expectations aren't realistic.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so we were asking ourselves a set of questions. Right?
Yeah. Clear about my needs.
Yeah. It was also, is it possible that I'm wrong?
Oh, yes. Yeah. What if I'm wrong?
What if I'm wrong?
Which on the other side of that is, what if they are right?
Well, and
or the thing is right,
so
or
that's
whatever it is.
Going back to the teeter-totter.
Right.
The teeter-totter is like nobody's right or wrong, especially when you're coming to a situation with multiple needs, right? Like parentifying my friend and my kids and everybody at that point, because everybody's like sucking their teeth because Julie's getting ready to lose her shit, you know. And I had to take ownership of my stuff. I mean, we were set up, we were fine. Everybody's like, you know, I mean, I laugh because there's a couple of folks in that group. They're like, we're gonna go ahead and cook dinner. Let's feed Julie, you know, and we're all good, right? But it's like, I don't know. I just wanted to share that story because I think that in that moment, that was like it was a seminal moment for us, because I was like, okay, first of all, it's not that serious. You know, like you and I laugh about this because my daughter says, you know, what does she say?
She says, Joanna doesn't act like she's 46. I was probably 43 then, 44. Yeah. She acts like she's what did she say? What did she call it? Not a kid.
A teenager.
A teenager, yes.
And so I'm laughing about that, but I always say, like, you're also like, I know that if like the chips, like you're one of the few people I would call to go pick my kids up if something was like burning down. So I laugh because it's that piece. Like, and so the yes and is like that part. If I got lost in the part that feels like a teenager, right? I would totally, that's the vinegar. I'd miss the oil of the depth of who you are and what you bring to my kids. And the fact that because you have that energy, they're willing to connect with you. And I trust you to give them guidance and to be safe for them. And there's so much more to the story.
Yeah.
Right? And so many of us get caught up on the superficial pieces. We don't suffer ourselves long enough to go, there's more to this story.
Right.
There's more to this person. There's more to this scenario. There's more to this. There's always more to this.
Yeah.
So what more can I seek to understand?
Yes.
That's for me suffering myself.
Yes.
And sometimes it's understanding that it's an evolution of myself. Sometimes it's letting go of my expectations. Sometimes it's getting clear on what my needs are. Sometimes it's picking which regrets I'm going to have. So I started out with my gratitude point. I made a conscious choice 4 years ago when I was burnt out to leave working full time because I could not hold the space. I don't show up half-assed at anything. So I couldn't go to work and pretend like I didn't care about the work I was doing. I care deeply about the work I'm doing. I go all in when I go in.
Yes.
You know, and but I was going all in here, and I knew that I was not going all in on my kids. I couldn't give both equal amounts of energy, and my kids were getting the leftovers. And I had to pick which regrets I would have. And I know there's always time for creative projects, but there's not always time for my kids.
Yeah.
And I chose my kids.
Yeah.
And I want my kids, if they're hearing this one day in the future, to understand I've not regretted that decision. In fact, it was the greatest gift I gave myself because my creative projects have changed because my kids changed my heart. Prioritizing things changes my heart. Generational change changes my heart.
Yeah.
staying home with my kids was a choice, that was a privilege given to me by my husband. I'm grateful for that, by the way, super grateful for that. He made a choice to start working himself to death so that I could stay home and do those things. We're still trying to find a balance with that 4 years later, right?
Yeah.
That was not a privilege given to my parents. And so my parents had to make decisions that I felt were compromising. But I recognize now I'm reparenting myself. So the gift of, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, so choosing my regrets brought me, like, so over here, I may not be out there, you know, I may not look good to everybody on social media land. It may not look pretty or sexy. It may not have, like, good, you know, reels and TikToks, and it may not have, you know, it may not make a good story.
Yeah.
But my legacy is that my kids will not feel abandoned. And that, to me, is a regret I wouldn't want to live with.
Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah,
So,
coming from 2 children who were
right.
abandoned.
Yeah.
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 So, I don't know.
Not yours. Us.
No. I know.
Us. Well, as you were talking, I know we've got to wrap this up, but as you were talking, there's something you've said in the past that anytime you say yes to something, you're saying no to another.
Yes. That's picking your regrets.
Yeah. That's exactly what that is.
And you know what? When we're driven by not suffering, when we're not willing to suffer ourselves, we're not clear on which regrets we're picking.
Yeah.
Or we tend ourselves to the things that drive the I gotta be cautious. Like, there's a lot of people that go all in on the things that they think look good to other people. They get in with other people who are doing all the things that have a real demonstrative look to it.
Yes.
Right? And everybody's on the social media saying, oh my God, you're so amazing. You're doing this or you're doing that. And I can promise you, behind those people, there's a lot of children that are wishing their parents were home. There's
Absolutely.
a lot of, you know, it's fine. Like, I think that everybody has to choose their regrets, but I could not be the person who was going to choose that. Like, I didn't want to build something out here and then have my kids wishing that, you know, regretting or even resenting the thing I was building.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Okay. So
Anyway, yes. Like, I had to learn, like, one of the things when I got burnt out and I read Present Over Perfect by Shauna Niequist, I don't know. That was one of the concepts I had to really sit with.
yeah. Yes.
And she talked about, I said, brave, emotional yeses, right? Her whole thing is like, we're not saying yes because we don't care. Like, we're just not clear on what our regrets are because we can't suffer ourselves. We don't have clarity. We're out there, you know, getting the next thing that's going to give us the dopamine fit. It's going to feel good. It's going to feel like it's validating us. It's going to feel passionate.
Yeah.
But if we're, as she said, and what I found was that at the end of it, I just felt scraped raw. And that was it. I was out here doing all these things that made me feel passionate. But when I was at home, I felt scraped raw.
Yes. And doing all those things that people are behind her or in front of her clapping about.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And they themselves are getting the good stuff.
Yeah.
While she is being scraped raw.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the thing, is like, I was out there feeling really passionate, like I was taking on the world, but I come home and I feel scraped raw.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm not serving the people that I chose to bring into the world.
Yes.
And I chose to marry. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's the piece, is that I made the decision, and it's not pretty and it's not sexy, and it doesn't make for great before and after photos, and it doesn't you know, make for a good highlight reel, but what it makes for is that I feel really at fucking peace when I lay my head down at night. I have a great relationship with my kids. Like, I don't have regrets in those areas. I don't feel scraped raw. I do not feel scraped raw when I lay my head down at night and I wake up in the morning.
Yeah. And as I am you in 25 years, because I've got kids that are significantly older than yours. That will serve you well. Yeah. That's a good thing. Because, yeah.
And I'll have regrets with my kids.
Yes.
Because there's no, especially today, where everybody's a parenting expert. Everybody's a recovery expert. Everybody's a fitness and health expert. Everybody's like, that's one of the other things I've just turned off in the last 2 weeks, is like, I don't give a shit what you say about what you do.
Yeah.
Because you're not in my life.
Right. You don't have to live it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what I hear you saying because I'm thinking about the people, you know, who are listening, and also the people who answered my Facebook question this morning. There is no pat answer. We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
No box to check or list to give people in order for them to do it right or well or anything like that. But there are some questions, and the questions that I have gotten from this is, with whatever it is you're struggling with or, you know, considering, contemplating, am I thinking in black and white? Am I allowing the gray space to exist? Are my expectations unrealistic? And am I understanding the regrets that I'm choosing?
Mm-hmm. And I need to say a cue about expectations, right? If I'm expressing a need, and I'm talking about myself, right?
Oh yes.
So, and I'm talking about myself,
I know where you're going with
and I'm
this.
expressing a need. I'm talking about you, I'm expressing an expectation.
Yeah. Yes.
One is a demand, the other one's a vulnerable showing up in space.
Yes.
One invites disconnect, one, you know, and one invites connection.
Yes.
So if you ask your partner what's wrong and they say, well, you just do this all the time, right? Instead of like, this is the experience I have when that happens. Because when I say to my partner, this is the experience I have when that happens, I'm not dictating to them that they even have to change it. I'm just sharing with them the experience that I have from it, and they can choose. They have the right to choose. And that's where I give them the autonomy to express their own, you know, willingness to suffer themselves, to check their priorities, to choose their regrets, to do that kind of stuff. And I just get clear about the fact that I don't want to not communicate what's going on with me, so I'm going to communicate it. And that's me not having any regrets about, you know, the way I show up in that space.
Yes.
And the autonomy building part is that I don't give my partner, if I go to JP with something, you know, sometimes he'll say, well, what do you want me to do about that? And I go, I don't know. Maybe you should, like, this is something maybe you should seek some guidance about.
Yeah.
Like, talk to your sponsor or talk to your therapist or see what your options are. But if I tell you what I think you need to do, then what I'm actually doing is telling you to check a box, and I'm asking you to not be your authentic self, to not figure out for yourself what works for you, to not figure out where you are or suffer yourself in this. I'm giving you the answer. And then when you check the box, we both feel superficially happy, but in the end, nothing changes, and we actually end up more in conflict. And over time, you're more in conflict and more in conflict. And then one day you wake up and you go, who the fuck are you? I don't even know who you are.
Yes. Yeah, you're like this Frankenstein version of what I want you to be. And it also, when you're giving people those boxes to check, it for unhealthier maybe individuals, it's giving them the opportunity to do what you're telling them to do, and then when it either doesn't work or they don't like it, then the blame gets put back on you. Because it was your idea. You know?
You're not letting somebody else take responsibility for their own process.
Right.
And that's one of the hardest parts for people. Like, I laughed because I saw that Lauren put, I hated when Julie said, I'm not going to give you an answer to. Like, and it's like, because that's the part. Like, when I say I don't have an answer for you, I'm not going to give you advice in the situation. I'm just going to sit, or what do you think you should do? When people are like, I don't know, just tell me what to do.
Yeah.
That's when we're denying suffering ourselves.
Yeah.
And I will say this, if I'm denying suffering myself, or if I'm struggling with that, and I'm going for accountability and I'm not getting clarity, then the accountability isn't accountability.
Yeah.
It's somebody else giving me an answer that I'm trying to pick up and try on. And when it doesn't work,
yep.
See what I'm saying?
And when it doesn't work, I can keep going, because there's no short order of people that'll tell you what to do and how to do it. And
and one of the ways that I challenged you to suffer yourself was, you were talking about before here, I've challenged you to do what with therapists?
Oh, keep a therapist for more than a year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I was just going through them like T-shirts.
You weren't even allowed in a year.
No, I was going through them like T-shirts.
Like, I'm seeing this person. I'm like, wait a minute. Last time we talked, you were talking. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because as soon as anything got uncomfortable, or as soon as they started to figure out the jig that I was doing, I'd be like, and we're done here.
Yeah.
And I'd go find somebody else that I could do the jig with.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've stayed with this one now for a year and a half, and I ain't going anywhere because she has figured out the jig, and that's good.
Yeah, she's developed some real intimacy with you.
Yes.
I'm going to say this last piece. Part of suffering myself that was intentional too is like, and I've shared this, but I'm going to say it again, is I'm willing to hold anything and everything up to the light. If I'm in conflict with somebody, a partner, a friend, if I'm feeling some kind of way about something, I immediately put it out there with somebody I trust to give me honest reflection.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's not to say that it's comfortable every time.
No, fuck no.
Right.
Actually, but I will literally get on, you know, I will pick up the phone. I'll get on Marco Polo. I'll say, I need to drop this off because I do not want this thought floating around my head. Like, I don't want to pretend like this thought is not here, because that's what I would do. I would pretend that thought wasn't there, and then I would be afraid of it, afraid of this thought, no, I'm not. If it's good and right, it can be held up to the light. It can sustain these questions. It can sustain all these questions. It can sustain inquiry. It can sustain all the, and honestly, that's where I learn. So one of the things that's hard for me when I see friends and other people I love struggling with stuff, I'll say, are you seeking accountability? Are you seeking guidance? Who have you talked to about this? Nobody.
Yeah.
You've talked to nobody about this? Like, what do we need to do? Like, how do you make a plan to do that?
Yeah.
Because when I'm in that space where I'm feeling like I need somebody to check a box and tell me what to do, or I have an idea that I think might be the thing, but I have all this emotional, like, around it, I call somebody and I put it out there. I say, sometimes saying out loud just helps me.
Yes.
But then also too, I get feedback, I get reflection, I get those kinds of things. And then I get to go, okay, am I, you know, because sometimes people say, well, have you considered that this could be the thing? Or what are the other perspectives? Or what are your options? What feels like the best option for you? I mean, like, there's this piece where there's an exploration, a curiosity about it. I'm not deciding for myself that I'm right, because I can tell you right now, my brain is fucked when it comes to narratives.
Yes, mine too. Yeah, for sure.
And if I'm operating as my own determinate judge and jury about the narrative I have, it's screwed up. I'm not actually suffering myself.
Yeah.
That's another form of like death comfort.
Yes.
Is being isolated in our own brain and thinking that we're right.
Yeah. Absolutely. And also, as you're talking, I'm thinking about this, and I don't know if I'm going to verbalize this well, but I'm going to try. Anytime I'm in conflict with someone, whether it's deep conflict or just superficial conflict, I will try and convince myself that it is not safe to express my concern or whatever it is, because I'm scared of the way the person is going to react. When in reality, it is not that. It is the fact that their reaction boomerangs back to me. And what I'm really uncomfortable with is the way it's going to make me feel.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, it has nothing to do. It is difficult to see someone that I'm in conflict with react negatively towards me. Yeah. Sure it is. But that ain't it. It's when it comes back to me and I have to deal with myself and the way it makes me feel to see that person upset with me.
Right. Well, and for me, it's, you know, I will say the one area I really struggle is when it's invalidating, or like if I'm sharing a heart piece, like a vulnerable piece, like I feel this is the experience I'm having, and they say, well, you're wrong, or that's not what's happening. Yes. Or my favorite is, your perception of this may be off. And I'll go, okay, I'm willing to be curious about that. Yeah. But like, if this is the same thing we keep talking about, maybe my perception's not off. Yeah. Like, and if I've managed my expectations and I've done the things and I've separated myself and I'm not actually engaging in this process, I mean, like, you know, at some point, you know, sometimes a spade is a spade.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think I'm saying that because it's happened to me a lot in the recent past, that it is my reaction to the thing is the excuse the other person uses. Oh, yeah. To not say the thing.
All right, or not to validate it.
And I'm calling bullshit on that. Yeah. Yeah. That is not deep relationship. That is not true vulnerability. That is a fucking excuse for the other person or me, if I'm doing it, to short circuit it. Yeah. Shut it down. Yeah. Nope, not going to do it.
Yeah. Dude, we could go on,
God,
so I'm going to stop here. So
yes. Okay,
yeah.
hold on. But I want to. Okay, so
I'm about to pee in my pants.
Okay, hold on. So being clear about our needs. How do I communicate that? So I'm going back to that beach story.
Mm-hmm.
All of that was because I am convinced enough of my own worth.
Yeah.
I was able to do that because I am coming into this season of understanding, and hopefully it's not just a season, a lifetime understanding that my mental and emotional and physical health is worth me being uncomfortable saying no.
Well, and I also want to say, like, the catalyst for you, and I think this is really important, is it's always the superficial thing. So that's a reflection of that, but the catalyst of it is that I don't want to make a further mess. I recognize that I'm just going to make this situation worse, and I don't want, like, you stop, like, that's the piece. I don't want to make this worse.
Yeah.
You know, I've just learned to start being silent.
Yeah.
And now I will say my piece, but I'll be silent.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm getting talked over, talked down to, you know, I just get quiet.
Yes.
You know, I just gotten to the point where I just get quiet.
Yeah. Or take an Uber and get the fuck home.
That's right. So,
and with that, we're out.
Absolutely. So I think it's, you know, we could go, like, this is a topic, and I think it's brought out a bunch of subtopics.
Yeah,
and I think
for sure.
that, one of the things I would love to do now is, and I'm making this commitment to you and to us, is you and I are going to sit down and we're going to work on actually planning out some content from here.
Yeah.
I love the off the cuff piece. So I think that we don't plan all of our talking points, but we plan, like, you know, we've got all these themes that we could go with. And then thinking about creative space outside of this, like this space we're sitting here at the mic. I think that's you know, like framing it out. Mm-hmm. Let's start framing it out.
Yeah, I agree.
Getting intentional.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I love this off the cuff piece, but dude, I don't, you know, like, unless we get Rogan style, like, followers, you know, we can't go Rogan style length, you know. So I want to be able to dig in, and I think that we have done a really good job of taking a bigger topic and trying to wrap it up into a bunch of different things. But I'm starting to realize we're also leaving a lot of loose ends.
Yeah.
And now, like, let's take some of these sub things like communication or boundaries or self-care or, you know, and make some series out of them. What do you think about that?
It is my commitment to try to do that. Yes.
Okay. Wait, reframe that for me.
That is difficult for me, and I will try to do that. Yes. I mean, we can do the framework.
Right.
Yes. And I will try to adhere to it.
Sure. Well, and we can leave it open.
I've got my
Well, I think
brain
too,
is a bunch of rabbit holes.
I know. Well, this is like, if you ever want to stick to, like, developing out a creative project, you got to get a framework together. My systems brain's kicking in.
Yes.
All right.
I'm open and willing, Julie.
I was just trying to get you to stop saying try. I'm like,
I'm not. I will try.
Try or don't do. There is no try, right?
I'm not fucking Yoda.
You know? No, I think that the bigger thing is, like, it's, you know, like, when we say try, we give ourselves an out from actually doing. Doing is a process. A failure is inevitable, and it's the learning part.
I will try and I will keep trying.
Yeah. You will do and fail, and we will figure it out.
That's right.
See, now I'm controlling her language. I need to shut up. We are on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook. We have our Facebook page, Nude, Newd, and Lude, Lude. We're also on, I said YouTube. Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, and I got them all.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to start butting heads in a creative process. And I think that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, not in a bad way. No. I like trying to, like, get a framework together. That sounded bad. Anyway,
we're fighting.
Y'all get to see us do this in real time, because this is how it works. You come together. It's really fun and exciting. And then the conflict starts, relationships, right? Like, around the creative process. And this is the beauty of it, is we get to, like, norm around it. Yeah. We both like to run off the cuff, and now we have to have some accountability.
Yes. A Capricorn and a Gemini walk into a bar.
Oh, God. And on that note, thank you, everybody. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. I know this one ran longer than usual, but I appreciate it very much. Yes. Scott, always thank you. You're the bomb.
Yeah. Scott, when's your birthday?
Sagittarius.
Oh,
Sag. We both have a Sag.
Yes, we love the Sages.
They're our second borns.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Aquarian firstborns, right?
Yeah.
Joanna and I are like spirit animals. All right. So thank you, everybody. We'll be back. We're like devolving, so we're going to jump off. But thank you. Okay. Thank you, Joanna.
I
love you.
I love you too.
And thank you, Scott, for everything. And thank you, everybody, for listening. And we'll catch you next time.
Yep.
Thank
you, Dick. Bye.
Bye.